Okay, today is quarter 3, week 7, Thursday. And make sure you have the date on there. The lengths of two sides of a triangle are 5 and 7. Which measurements cannot be the length of the third side? The answer is 2, because the 5 plus 2 equals 7, and it needs to be, the rule says it has to be greater than 7. Cone, cube, cylinder, sphere, and or rectangular prism. My cross sections are sometimes a circle. So sometimes a circle would be a cone, because it's sometimes a circle or a triangle. Cube, you can definitely not have a circle out of there. Cylinder is sometimes a circle, because the other thing it could be is a rectangle. And rectangular prism, you cannot ever get a circle out of that. Sphere is not one, because spheres are always circles. Question number 3. A circle has a diameter of 11 meters. What is the circumference? So we know there are 2 formulas for the circumference. Circumference equals 2 pi r, or circumference equals the diameter times pi. Well, we know the diameter, so I'm going to use the second formula. And so that would be just 11 times pi. You poke that in your calculator, and you get 34.56. Do not use 3.14 for pi. Always use the calculator, because that's what you're going to get on the iLearn. Number 4. What is the volume of the cylinder below? The formula for volume is pi r squared times the height. Now in this picture, it's a little bit deceiving. It has this arrow and it points to the center. Well, you would probably assume that it's only from the center out, but actually what it means, if it's right to the center, it's for that entire line, which would be the diameter. So for this one, if the diameter is 26.8, the radius is half of that, so that would be 13.4. So now I use that information, I put it in my formula. Volume equals pi times my radius is 13.4 squared, and times the height, which I look on here, and the height is, that's 9.8. Plug that into your calculator, and I'm rounding it to the nearest whole number. 5,528 centimeters cubed. Number 5. If I look at this figure, these 2 angles are a straight line. What is a straight line? When 2 of them add to a straight line, it is called what? Supplementary. Write it in the box. And you're going to write supplementary equals 180. So I have to add these 2 together and have it equal to 180. So I've got 5 plus 2x plus 4x plus 1 equals 180. Combine your like terms. I've got a 5 and a 1 to make 6. 2x and 4x makes 6x. Then I'm going to box the 6x, and I'm going to subtract 6. So 6x equals 180 minus 6 is 174. Then I box the x, and I divide by 6. So x is going to equal 29. For number 6, you start with the triangle that you know, and I know this triangle because this box represents a right angle, which is 90 degrees. So I add 90 plus 35 equals 125. Then I take 180 minus 125, and I get 55 degrees. Put that in on your paper. If this is 55, this one is 55, and those are called vertical angles. Make sure you write that, point to it. So now I can say 55 plus 67 is 122, and then 180 minus 122 is 58 degrees. And write it on your paper. I need to identify the relationship between the angles. So they're on a straight line. This angle plus this angle equals what? So y plus x equals 180 degrees. So these are supplementary. For number 8, these two angles share the intersecting lines. They are across from each other. Those are called vertical angles. So that means they have to equal each other. So then on my paper, I have 6x minus 4 equals 5x plus 5. Draw my line. I'm going to move this 5x with this 6x so I don't have a negative. So I subtract. So 6 minus 5 is just 1x, but we would just say x. And then I would add 4 to both sides. Those cancel each other out. And 5 plus 4 is 9, so x equals 9. Make sure when you take your pictures, you're taking a picture of the column and your lined paper. Every year is a little bit different depending on where we might be for the countdown. This year we're on week 17, number 2. And it says an employee describes the ratio of hours worked, money earned by drawing a graph. Explain why this graph cannot represent a proportional relationship. So what's wrong with this graph? There's only one thing wrong with it. It doesn't go through the origin, and you have to use the word origin and then label those points 0, 0. Alright, make sure you get your pictures and get your bell work submitted for today.